Holocaust Memorial Day is a time when we remember the 6 million Jewish men, women and children murdered by the Nazis and by their collaborators during the Holocaust. And the theme, as many have said, of this year's Memorial Day is bridging generations. And it's the solemn duty of all of us in this place and beyond it, who've had the privilege of meeting Holocaust survivors, to pass on their testimony to younger generations so that we may all bear witness collectively to their suffering and to their memory. On that note, it was a real honour last week, as some have already said, to meet 95-year-old Marla Tribich, MBE, in Parliament, and to hear her very moving testimony of how she and her brother were the only members of her family to survive the Nazi Holocaust, following her imprisonment in Ravensbrück and Belsenbergen camps. Many members will agree just how heartbreaking it was to hear of her pleading with the SS Guard not to put her on a train. Marla told me afterwards how proud she was of her brother Ben, who went on to represent Britain at the Olympics as a weightlifter. Ben, who passed away in 2023, was one of the 700 Jewish youngsters taken to Cumbria from the death camps. And Ike Alterman, who passed away at age 97 in December last year, was the last surviving Greater Manchester member of that group of so-called Windermere children. I mention Ike because his story is well known by the children of Rochdale, particularly in Fairlinge Park High School, where he visited 3 years ago to share his experiences. Ike recalled picking sprouts in the bitter Polish winter for the SS officers' Christmas dinner. He and other Jews had no proper clothing, no shoes. Ike strapped straw to his feet to walk in the snow. The SSF officer said that if he and fellow children sang Silent Night, they'd get a bonus, a ladle of warm water to put sprout skins in. To this day, I've never touched sprouts again, Ike said. Ike was just 13 when his family were lined up in the town square alongside other Jews. He saw his mother, his sister, his brother led away by men with rifles. Later, he found out they were likely sent to Treblinka, the extermination camp. At Birkenau, Ike's job was to take bodies from gas chambers to the crematoriums. At Birkenau, he said, they had 4 chimneys and they were glowing 24 hours a day, day and night. That was invaluable personal testimony to the children of Rochdale from someone who was there. That's someone who can't be denied, whose story cannot be denied, and to whom we still remember with great fondness. Despite his passing, Ike's testimony lives on because his talk to students was captured on video and is shown by the school every year, thanks to the great efforts of excellent teachers such as the Holocaust education lead in Rochdale, in Fairlinge Park, Adele Turner. Now, Fairlinge Park has a legacy beacon status as one of the schools under the umbrella of the University College London Centre for Holocaust Education, and it's developed a special Holocaust Ambassadors and Youth Champions programme. Its youth champions are pupils from Year 9 who design and lead the extracurricular lunchtime and after-school lessons on the Holocaust for younger children in the school, beautifully bridging generations even within their school, which is again the theme of this year's memorial. Last week, Greater Manchester's commemoration of Holocaust Memorial Day featured a video of Fairlinge Park High School pupils, Abiha Imran, Willow Greenwood and Dylan Ogden, as they joined Andy Burnham to interview Tommy Commerly, another Holocaust survivor. Tommy revealed he'd spoken to 27,000 students in the 10 years of his work with the Holocaust Education Trust. 27,000 students who remember his story. And his advice to the next generation was simple. The one word that immediately pops into my mind, he said, is tolerance. Just look at other people in the world and accept that we each have our own way of living and habits. Just be respectful of that and live peacefully side by side. Of course, this year has shown that anti-Semitism is not just the world's oldest hatred, it's very much a current one, fed by extremists that blame Jews across the globe for the actions of Israel's government. The Bondi Beach attack was truly appalling. But in the northwest, we will never forget the Heaton Park synagogue attack on the holiest day in the Jewish calendar, Yom Kippur. Remember Adrian Dorby, 53, and Melvin Kravitz, 66, who were killed in that attack on that dark day. Mark Levy, who many of us know in this place, is Manchester's Jewish Representative Council leader, and his father, Alan, is the chairman of the synagogue. Yeah. They were both deeply affected by that incident and by the loss of their friends. Alan recently recalled how Adrian Dorby leapt up from his seat and ran the length of the synagogue to help them hold shut the front doors from that terror attack before he was shot and killed. And it was truly disgusting that within hours of that attack, a local councillor in Rochdale shared on his Facebook page an article called "False Flag. Could the Manchester synagogue attack be orchestrated?" As clear a dog whistle, an anti-Semitic dog whistle, as clear as day. But there are glimmers of light amid the darkness. Mark Levy tells me his children marked their B'nai Mitzvah at Heaton Park recently, and a very powerful moment of resilience and remembering. The Holocaust and its teaching about not just the Nazi Holocaust, but genocides in Cambodia, Rwanda, Bosnia and Darfur has been part of the national curriculum for 35 years. The hatred based on race or religion, with victims scapegoated for sins they never committed, demonised, blamed and punished for sins and things that had nothing to do with them, becomes a narrative that curdles into deadly extremism. And our school children are taught that. But with young people online more than ever, it's not what happens in the classroom that really worries many of us. It's what happens outside it. The potential for them to come across anti-Semitic content, Holocaust denial and distortion is greater than ever. Conspiracy theories that the Holocaust never happened, that anti-Semitic theories that it was orchestrated or faked by Jewish people or Israel. Meanwhile, debate on X's Grok AI has been regular in this House in recent weeks. But not only has the platform's AI tool been denigrating and degrading women, Grok has generated multiple anti-Semitic comments, including praise for Hitler, denying the scope of the Holocaust, and using so-called Jewish-sounding surnames in the context of hate speech. I hope that ministers will engage with the Anti-Semitism Policy Trust to see how the Online Safety Act can actually crack down on memes like this on Reddit and other online platforms. As others have said, Holocaust Memorial Day is also a time to remember all the Roma, the Sinti people, gay men, disabled people, political opponents and others murdered by the Nazi killing machine. We remember too all those affected by the subsequent genocides in Cambodia, Rwanda, Darfur and Bosnia. And speaking of Bosnia, I want to say it was a truly humbling experience to visit the Srebrenica Memorial Centre and Cemetery in Bosnia last year. In July 1995, more than 8,000 Muslim men and boys were murdered by Serb paramilitaries, driven by religious, nationalist and ethnic hatred to commit the worst genocide on European soil since the Holocaust. I went to pay my respects, to meet the incredible Mothers of Srebrenica campaign group and to look at the very moving testimony in the Memorial Centre itself. I will.
I just wanted to add my voice to the comments my honourable friend was making about the Mothers of Srebrenica and Shepherd Enclaves Association. I've had the real honour of meeting them myself around a decade ago now, and the work that they do is absolutely extraordinary. So would he join me in encouraging all members of this House to take the opportunity to learn from them about what we can do to ensure that we don't carry the hate that caused them to lose their husbands and their sons into the future?
Honourable friend is absolutely right, and I would encourage all members of the House to take a trip to Srebrenica to see for themselves the mass graves there and the cemetery and the museum, which is incredibly moving. The centre director, Emir, and the head of oral history, Hassan, were encouraged to hear that Rochdale school children are taught about the Srebrenica genocide as part of the Holocaust education. And as the MP for Rochdale, it's my duty to remind everyone in my constituency of the horrors of October 7th, the worst pogrom of Jews since the Second World War. It's also, of course, my duty to call out the deaths of the men, women and children in Gaza that followed, and the need for testimony and evidence and accountability as important as ever. I signed the Holocaust Education Trust Book of Commitment in Parliament, part of their ongoing effort to educate children about the past and the present atrocities across the globe. It's only through education that we tackle the ignorance that fuels hatred. And the responsibility of remembrance doesn't end with the survivors. It lives on through their children, their grandchildren, and of course, through all of us. I just want to end, briefly if I can, I want to end with a poem sent to me by Zishan Shafkat, a 17-year-old student at Rochdale's Hopwood Hall College. In ashes of pain where names were erased, we stand together now, face to face, Muslim and Jew, hand in hand, guarding the truth that history demands. Never again our shared vow remains to honour the loss and break hatred's chain.